and welcome to TechAmp Media's Let's Discuss podcast. On today's show, Apple's big keynote, the HTC Vive, Valve's Steam Link, and more. I'm your host, Colby Profitt, and joining me today is Jesse James.
Hey, hello, guys.
How's it going, Jess?
Hey, man, it's going good. How are you?
Pretty good. I'm just trying to absorb all this big tech news right now.
Yeah.
Especially with Apple's big keynote event that they just did today on the date of recording, which is the 9th. Huge announcements. Of course, the watch we already knew was going to be, further introduced and more details on it. What are you thinking about their watch so far?
Honestly, I feel like, and I think we're both in agreement of this, that it is ridiculously priced.
Noted that we are both Android users, not like hardcore or anything, but just that we don't have Apple phones right now.
Right. And, it's like my girlfriend, she has, she's always stuck to iPhones, but, and I've used them from 3G up to 4S or whatever. And, I really like them for the most part, but I really like Android a lot more. But that's to be said, I really feel like on the market right now, there's no smartwatch that really appeals to me. But price wise, I feel like this is really jumping above a gap that it feels just so out there. Like your average Android watch is like at most like $250.
Right. Yeah. Your premium ones like the G Watch R, Moto 360, stuff like that. They're all right under 300. And here we're getting, the basic model. Not that they're all functionally the same. Right. With that to be said, there's 3 editions: Sport Edition, Watch, just regular, and the Edition, which is the stupidly overpriced one. But they're all functionally the same. They've all got the same like sapphire crystal heart rate things and all that. So, it does seem ridiculous for the pricing, and like you said, there's not really any smartwatch out there that I really find to be incredibly compelling. And even on the keynote, the apps that they were showing off are basically just, well, they've even said that they're not allowing like apps to be on the watch itself until I think September or something.
Yeah, and later on. Yeah,
it's just apps that you have on your iPhone that have watch components on them.
Right.
So it's,
and like the thing is, when I look at the Apple Watch, it really, like, I feel like I don't know what its exact demographic is for.
Exactly.
All smartwatches, that's how I feel. Like when you look at the bezel and everything on the Apple Watch, I really feel like it's more feminine.
I think so too.
I think that's actually what they're targeting towards. Like its design and everything feels more feminine, and they've even done smaller sizes, which females tend to wear smaller sized watches.
Of course, yeah. It'd be really weird to have little feminine wrist and a big face Rolly on there.
I mean, like the Moto 360, that would look ridiculous. It'd look ridiculous on my wrist, and I got pretty medium sized wrist.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
But like it just, when I look at it, the curved bezels, the sidings that come around to hold the watch band, the curves of it really make it very feminine. And I mean, that's not a bad thing at all, but I feel like that's their targeted demographic. I feel like it's, and I've heard this before, that I feel like it's for women who have their phones in their purse.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually.
Right. It makes sense when it's in that, like, but for someone, or for like a guy or a female who just has their phone in their pocket, like, is it really that much of a nuisance? Like, I feel like you're going to get used to the vibrations on your wrist, on the notifications on it. Yeah,
I've always found that to be pretty cool, actually, because a lot of the time you don't want your phone making a ton of noise if you're in a meeting or whatever, and if you get some kind of update on your, you can get it on your wrist and quietly dismiss it or not have it make noise. And going back to the purse thing real quick though. They actually said that the Apple Watch will communicate with it doesn't stand alone at all. like a lot of watches don't.
Yeah, none of them do, I don't think.
Yeah, well, I think the one by Audi came out with a watch. It's not for sale yet or anything, but it had WebOS on it. So that's pretty cool. It stood alone. But anyway, that's beside the point. It can it can contact the phone through Wi-Fi as well as Bluetooth. So you can have your phone in another room or in your purse or whatever, and it still be working through that. So that's pretty neat. It's not something you'd be able to like leave your phone at home and go on a jog.
Right. And you need to take both of the devices.
Right, exactly. Which, most people would anyway, but just for the sake of argument.
I just feel like right now there is no point in owning a smartwatch. And I mean, obviously the tech is still pretty buggy. We don't really know exactly what we want out of these devices yet. I just don't know what these things are truly targeted for. I feel like, with my phone in my pocket, I most of the time always notice my notifications. And I just feel like it's just unnecessary tech that you're adding more to it. Now, I don't think they're dumb. I kind of like the idea, but at the same time, I'm crossed with the feeling of, what is this $250, $300, $400, $500 device?
$10,000.
Yeah, $10,000. What makes this so appealing for me to use? I mean, these things, if you really if looking at the Apple thing, these are more expensive than the phone, and that is
a good deal.
Ridiculous. I mean, yeah, like the regular sized one is way more expensive than the phone off contract.
And off contract. That's the thing, right? Because they're exorbitant amount on off of contract, but still.
Well, I mean, even on contract, these are more expensive. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the on contract ones are cheaper, but yeah, I mean, I think you were onto it with the bit of useless tech, because I think a lot of the target audience is that sort of bleeding edge tech enthusiast that just wants to have the coolest gear, which I'm guilty of that kind of thing, obviously.
Me too, but still.
It just seems the form is way over function in that point. And I think that's sort of where Apple is moving to in a lot of ways, especially with the announcement of the $10,000 and $17,000 edition Apple Watch. They have the gold alloy and rose gold alloy watches that are just incredibly expensive, up there with Rolexes and things like that.
Right.
And it looks like
that's the market to it.
Yeah, Apple is definitely trying to make that move into like a fine jewelry market. I don't know if they're going to stay like that. I don't know how many of these watches are really going to sell, because when you think of like a Rolex or something, really big, expensive. We're not sponsored by Rolex or anything. I know I keep saying that, but a big, expensive item like that, it's an heirloom at that point. And I don't think, we're not going to be passing down our grandchildren our Apple Watches.
No, not at
There's
all.
no way.
These are things that will most likely be just garbage fill after a few years, just like all our other tech.
Right. I'd love for that to happen, heirloom electronics, but it just isn't realistic.
Right. And it's the same thing with the MacBook that's coming out from them. That was announced at this keynote.
Yeah.
Which is a very sleek and gorgeous device. Like, it is beautiful. Gorgeous. Yeah. And it's probably one of the best notebooks that I've ever seen in style. Paper thin. I mean, this thing is just a gorgeous device, but it's the same question I had with the watch. Who's this for? At a price this high, who's this for? Because what's in it
the base
is
model,
not worth it.
The base model's $1,300, and then the one that has an SSD that's twice the size is $1,700. And it just doesn't make any sense at all.
And like the battery life is pretty good on it, but I mean, the thing is, like,
that's because it has a tablet processor.
Well, yeah,
it has an Intel M. I mean, it's half of a tablet basically. It's just, I would have really liked for them to had like a convertible entry, because that's something, and obviously it would be in complete like competition with the iPad at that point, because you know,
True.
you need an iMac, you need a MacBook, and you need an iPad to go with your iPhone and smartwatch. But
You know, I didn't think about that, about it being competition if they did change that touchscreen
Yeah,
like that, if they
I
made it
actually
into a
just-
convertible.
I actually just thought about that
That's
just
why
now.
I'm not going to do one.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking to you before. Like, I'm surprised I didn't do a touchscreen, and then I didn't think about that until just now. But something more interesting about that MacBook Air. This is going to be one of the first, if not the first. I think one of the Nokia tablets has a USB Type C. I think, but this laptop now has a USB Type C connector, which is USB 3.1 standard. It's the only port on the laptop. That's your charging, that's your data transfer, that's everything.
Headphones, everything.
Yeah, everything. And there's gonna be a dongle for it to split it off. But,
Is it going to come with a dongle, or did you have to buy that separate?
I don't know if it's gonna come with a dongle.
I would
Thanks for
presume
throwing
you'd
me
have to
that
buy it
question.
separate.
Yeah, I'd say so, honestly. I mean, you're gonna have to have a dongle to use literally anything other than the charging cord, because
Exactly.
did you ever pick up that USB Type C flash drive that was on sale the other day?
No.
Or the mouse that you could use, the wireless one that had a USB Type C receiver
No.
on it. Oh shit. Oh well. Yeah, it's because they don't exist yet, and that's
Exactly.
sort of the thing. And I think with both of these, Apple sort of, you know, they want to say that they're innovating, and I agree with them. They are innovating, and it might push the market toward, you know, having these Type C connectors, having, you know, more competition on the watch front, and making these watches more useful and more compelling.
The thing is like, I'm all for, you know, like the USB Type C is just, it's much faster, and I'm all for them, you know, adapting to, you know, a new port. But
Mhm.
I just, if you're only putting one on there and saying, oh, this is for everything, then I feel like it's like, well, I got to plug this in to charge it, and you know, this is going to take forever to charge.
Right. Well, and it's supposed to be a 10-hour battery life on it, which is pretty good for a laptop, I guess. But
that's really good for a laptop.
It
But
is,
like you
yeah.
said, it is basically an iPad with a keyboard.
right, yeah, it's the USB Type C can carry 20 volts and 5 amps.
Oh yeah,
So
that's
it's-
right. That's
Yeah,
right.
so it might be pretty quick. That's 100 watts, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's 100 watts. Jeez.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good. So, I mean, it might not take that long. Depends on the actual power brick, obviously, how much wattage it is, but because you're obviously going to need something to plug the USB into the wall. But yeah, and it's got the new keys to the butterfly switches, which are supposed to be pretty good. But I think
you know,
Lenovo actually did another switch like that, sort of. It was a they also did an innovation on their keyboard switches for the laptops.
I think we
But-
should all just you know, use giant. We should just reform all laptops and just regular keyboards to always be mechanical.
Could you imagine how big the MacBook Air would have to be with a mechanical keyboard?
I know that'd be stupid thick.
We've slimmed down our laptops even more, except for the mechanical keyboard, which is 2 inches thick.
And you just see someone just clanking on there with their thick rimmed glasses glistening in the Starbucks light.
Yeah, Nora
That's all-
Jones blaring behind them.
You walk in there, you can't even hear Nora Jones, because all you hear is just the clicking of the keys and the slurping of the mocha espresso triple shots.
That's the future. This is the future sound of Starbucks if that happens.
I don't know any Nora Jones songs, or else I would have
And
kind
the
of.
I know. I was gonna say the same thing. We need to go to more Starbucks, and maybe we'd learn some.
I think I would rather not.
Yeah, that's okay.
If you don't mind, let's just wrap up. the Apple Key event. I just want to
I was about to.
I just want to say, like I do support the idea of these watches, even though I really don't feel like, I don't know what the market is, because I do believe in innovation, and I do think this will change the way we use our devices. I just find it weird because cell phones kind of killed off the watch, and now cell phones are bringing back the watch, and I feel like it's just weird.
Right. Yeah. The thing is, people used to carry around watches in their pocket so that they could tell time away from a clock, right? And then they went to wristwatches because you might not want to carry around a clock all the time. And then people stopped wearing watches because they could take the phone out of their pocket and tell the time. And now we need a wristwatch too. Exactly. So basically, we're carrying around a wristwatch and a pocket watch at the same time.
Mm-hmm. And it's like I was saying with like the notifications, like, there's times where I'm not even noticing anything like on my wrist or something, like I'm doing something, and like I guess you would see that a lot faster, definitely if your phone is in your pocket. But like if your phone, I don't know if it vibrates. I'm pretty sure that's what it's going to do. It'll do like a little vibrate on your wrist.
Yeah, usually they do.
I'm pretty sure you're going to get used to that pretty quickly, and you're not going to notice messages, just like everything else, because your body adapts to things like that.
It's possible. We'll have to see, I guess.
And also one more thing on that watch. I think the size differences in price too.
Oh yeah.
I think that's I want to touch on that. For 38 millimeter on the Sport Edition, it's $349, and on the 42 millimeter of the same one, it is $499.
Yep.
Just such an insane jump.
You're paying $150 for 4 millimeters of watch.
and then if you just go to the Apple Watch, which is 38 millimeter,
this is the stainless steel version here.
For $549 for the 38 millimeter, the jump is nowhere near as drastic. It's to $599 for the 42 millimeter, which is just weird. It's just a weird jump.
I guess you're already paying so much for it.
Well, yeah, you're paying as much as you're paying as much as a unlocked phone.
Yeah, off contract unlocked phone. Yeah, possibly two of them, depending on which bracelet you get. Right. I mean, it's just insane. You can buy phones for your whole family on contract for that price. It's just. And one more thing, we're not disparaging Apple outright. It's just the fact that, I mean, I think we both both of us, it's fair to say that we find both of these products pretty frivolous, I guess. Right. And I want to make a comparison real quick to the Microsoft Surface Pro 3, which I think is probably not their latest offering. I think it was last spring. It was released last spring in May. 12-inch size, similar to the 13 of the new MacBook. It's a little bit lighter at 1.76 pounds, has a battery life of 9 hours, and has similar screen resolution for $1,000 less, pretty much. What, 300? It's no, the $700 one. So I guess never mind. So compared to the $1,300 one, it's just half the price. Oh, okay. And it runs Windows, so there's that. The thing is I agree. We're not like dogging necessarily on it. I think all smartwatches, including Android ones, are not really up to snuff yet. And obviously, because it's brand new tech, it's not really there yet. I just do feel like the Android ones, you can wear any type of Android one, and you're at least being met with more feasible price ranges. Heck, the Pebble, the first edition Pebble one, which looks like a plastic kid's toy. You might as well put Dora the Explorer on there and right. That watch. It's like what, 100? I think it's 150. Right, I think it went down to 99 though. Did it? Okay. It might have. I don't know. I could be mistaken. Matter of fact, I'll look that up. You'll want to hear my keys. Okay. Sorry, audience. While we're on that though, did you see the Android commercial that they aired before the keynote? No. Before the Apple keynote, it was a bunch of people wearing Android Wear smartwatches, and it said, oh God, what did it say? B, get together, not the same, or something like that. You know, it's just kind of a shots fired thing by Android there, but
Right. Yeah, and the first Pebble is 99.
they are 99. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty. I mean, you know, if you know, and the newest one you can actually do voice on it, which is what you need for a device like that. Because I feel like that's like, you know, oh, let me get a notification on my wrist. Oh, look at this message that I just read. Now I got to reply, so I pull out my phone. Like, it defeats the whole entire purpose. Mm-hmm. So at least with voice, you can record it. And, you know, with these using OK Google, you know, they'll actually be worth a dang.
Right, yeah. The fact that it goes straight to Google.
Yeah.
I find that service really useful, actually. The OK
Google
thing.
I use it a lot. Did you know you can listen to all your recordings?
What? Through OK Google, or?
Well, it is through Google, but you can actually, like, there's the metadata. You can go and
the recordings.
Listen to it.
I'm stupid.
Yes.
The recordings of what you said. Oh God, that would be so embarrassing.
It's very embarrassing because there's ones where you hear me mess up and I'm just like yelling at it.
Yeah.
And also you can actually see where it's tracked your GPS. You can actually see where you kind of been. It's a little spotty because of course it's popping off towers. It's using some Wi-Fi and which is cool but scary at the same time. But
yeah, it is a little bit scary.
It does help with like your like travels and stuff. Yeah. Like I feel like the metadata is really scary, but if it's in capable hands, which I feel like it might be, but I'm still scared. It's beneficial because it lets you know where things are, what you usually do, and it crunches that. Yeah. And then they send you ads for whatever you do.
Right. I tend to trust Google as a whole. I don't know if that's misplaced or not, but speaking of companies that I blindly trust, let's move on to the Valve HTC Vive VR headset. This was just, it had been announced a while ago. I think it was at GDC, if I'm not...
It got announced at GDC.
Okay, yeah. And then we saw a little bit more of it in Barcelona this weekend at Mobile Conference. But...
and PAX East.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, the other one was just this last one, but yeah. So it's Valve and HTC's entry into the high-end VR headset game. Direct competition with like Oculus. Not so much Samsung Gear since it's a little more, it's just a card. It's basically Google Cardboard, fancy Google Cardboard. Not saying that's Google not
Sorry, John
needed or whatever. Yeah, but it looks absolutely amazing. People are saying nothing but good things about it. It looks a little funky, but supposedly it is just basically the best offering so far in a lot of ways. It's made 0 people sick that have tried it out, whereas Oculus has a pretty high rate of that. But the biggest thing about it is probably the fact that it encourages you to get up and move around and interact in the environment with these paddle handles and things like that. It just looks amazing. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm beyond ecstatic because obviously I'm a Valve fanboy.
Right.
Been ever since Half-Life 1 and Ricochet.
Which is funny because it sort of looks like a head crab in a certain strange way with the straps on your head.
I really like the aesthetic of it. I like the honeycomb look. It's rather interesing. And
there's no way that's gonna stay though. That's definitely a developer thing.
I freaking hope. I think it looks so cool. It looks like something from a futuristic sci-fi movie that was made in the 70s.
It sort of reminds me of Sam Fisher, actually. If they just glowed green.
Yeah. Oh man. But yeah, it's really cool because it's one of the it was the first demos that really, I mean, I know Oculus did some standing, which they made you sign a thing. But this was the first VR where they wanted you to stand. And what's interesting is it uses these 2 boxes they call Lighthouse. And it pretty much these lighthouses shoots beam of lights, and that's where it does a lot of the tracking. That's why there's all these little infrared little
It's lasers.
It was lasers, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't mean to like correct you. I was just saying lasers.
Okay, which I'm pretty sure. Yeah, okay. Anyways, it shoots these beams out, and that's what maps everything, and it's to the T, like accurate as can be. And you're working with what makes this really great, like the visuals on it. You're working with 1200 by 1080p in each eye.
Right, two separate displays.
Right,
that's
at
the
90
biggest
frames
thing.
per second, and man, that's gonna melt my computer.
Yeah, I think it's gonna melt a lot of computers, and I think that the dual displays and it being at 90 frames or 90 hertz, same thing.
Yeah, right.
Is really what I think sets it apart, and I think makes less people sick or fewer people sick. And they just say that the latency is just nothing. I mean, it really feels like you're in this universe that it sets up for you.
Right. Here, let me read this.
Okay.
The gyro sensor, accelerometer, and laser position sensor combine to precisely track the rotation of your head on both axes to an accuracy of 1/10 of a degree, allowing you to look around the virtual environment naturally. Couple the headset with a pair of Steam VR based stations to track which of the lighthouses, your physical location, and spaces up to 15 feet by 15 feet. They get up and walk around. And I mean that's bigger than what your average living room tends to be,
or room in your house at all. To be honest, unless you got a real open floor plan.
I mean, like my living room in one direction lengthwise is 18, but crosswise is probably like 10. Yeah. So I mean, I'll have some room to work. And which is really cool is the fact that that when you get up to objects, it'll start doing like a lines with like a reddish look to let you know that there's objects there. So you even with the Steam controllers, which they're not ready yet in that feature, but they will be during the release for consumer,
which is going to be December, from what I'm hearing. By December,
yeah, it's like holiday.
Yeah, holiday 2015. You know how that goes. But
wherever you reach, that will actually be detected too. So that's going to be convenient, and which is good, because a lot of people are saying the persistence in this is just so real that people are legitimately losing themselves, and that's just that's where it's at. That's where it needs to be. And I really hope this headset is also a headset that's going to be good for like sitting in a chair and cockpit driving. Yeah,
that's something that I'm really hoping for as well, because I don't know how viable it's going to be right now to have here's the kitchen. You show somebody around the house. Here's the kitchen. Here's the bathrooms. My master suite, and attached to the master suite is my holodeck, where I keep my high-end PC and Vive. I'd love to do that, obviously,
right?
But not everybody can make room for a holodeck right now.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's good. It was just
I feel like this could be the possibility of future escapism in the sense of like a holodeck.
Totally.
Like I can't remember what podcast I was listening to. I'm not giving you a shout out. They were talking about it, and I completely agree that this could be the future of where there at one time in the living room there was no TV. It was just a radio. And you pretty much made your living room into a TV room, a cinema room.
Right.
And you didn't do that up until that came out. And then you actually you adapted to it. And you didn't, like, your office wasn't dedicated to PC until later. And then once the computer came out, you had a office room for PC. This could ultimately be a VR room in your house, like a holodeck. I mean, that's far off, but I mean, the possibility, it could happen, and it's not far-fetched. And, I I really love the idea of VR. I mean, it gets my goat. Like, I don't know who isn't excited for it, but I really do feel like it doesn't take away from traditional gaming.
Oh no, if anything, it definitely adds to it. Any sort of first-person experience, I think, can only stand to gain from VR, especially something this immersive with the hand controls and the just the feedback and tracking of those controllers, just amazing.
Exactly. I go ahead.
Sorry, I was just saying, to every degree and just out in front of you and everything, and I don't know, it just looks. I can't see anything about it that I don't want. Like, I'm just ready for this thing.
I was excited with Oculus. I was beyond excited for Oculus.
Oh, of
and
course.
then once they sold their company to Facebook, I was a little upset. But eventually I kind of chilled out, and then I got excited again. But then it just kind of died out. Like, I was like, I don't really care. And like the Crystal Cove looked really cool, and it's, it was promising, but it was kind of just on the back burner in my mind. And like, I kept, you kept hearing things about Steam's thing where like they had a room full of QR codes and they had a tracking system for that. And people were saying, wow, this is insane. This is fantastic. And then, Valve just randomly shows up with this, and it's like blowing people's minds.
Right.
I feel like this is the step that was needed. And with Valve in the market, and plus, what's awesome about this is not just HTC will be developing this. The first thing is partnered with HTC, but after this, they release the API and allow other companies to make the physical hardware. Which, I hope that there will be a standard.
Right. Yeah.
There has to be a standard. It just can't go all willy-nilly like the Steam machines have already done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to a certain extent, that's just like any other computer, but runs, a slightly tarted up UI,
Yeah. But I feel like, we need that. We need set things. Even like the Steam machines, they should be more set. They should be more controlled, I feel.
You're saying they should have, like a base model that they need to fit,
Exactly.
Sort of
like a $500 one should be all the same from different brands. They should all be kind of like, what's the best tech that they can possibly squeeze in for $500? And I know that's not the best for those companies. I know that's not what they're wanting to do, and that's not what they're doing, which is a shame. Because, these, honestly, like, I don't see this being a competition for consoles, at least with the Steam machines.
Yeah, and that's worth saying that it is only compatible with PC right now.
Right.
But what I think is so
the Steam
amazing,
VR? Yeah.
Yes. What I think is so amazing about this is all these VR headsets coming out, and aside from the Samsung one, because it's a little bit different, the Rift, the this one now, the Vive, and the Morpheus for the PS4. The consumer can only stand to gain from all of this competition and all of this, one-upping on, well, this one can track better, this one doesn't make you ill, this one looks really cool, that kind of thing. And I think we'll just see it continue to grow from here on, because people are amazed by these things. I don't know if it's going to be, this one is going to be a very niche product for hardcore gamers, obviously, especially with the tracking stuff. And stuff like the Samsung might be a little bit more mainstream, but I think just with all these flooding the market now, it's just going to be good for competition and development of this technology. So it's only up from there, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree. Competition's really healthy, and we need competition. But out of all these, I would definitely go with Steam VR, HTC's Vive.
Yeah, so far, I mean, hell, we might see an Apple VR. Who knows?
I'm good.
A gold-plated one.
It only works with Apple TV.
Oh Lord. They lowered the price on Apple TV actually as part of this keynote. It's now $69. So it's almost competing with Chromecast and stuff.
Yeah, almost.
Yeah, and Roku and all that. But speaking of Apple TV, though, the final thing that we were going to discuss today, the Steam Link thing. Would you like to go into that a little bit?
Yeah. If people don't know about it, it's essentially a wireless HDMI, a TV tuner, pretty much.
Right. Yeah.
If you almost want to say,
which it receives the controllers too, though.
It's true. Pretty much, it's a box that you put under your TV and you hook it up to your TV, and you can actually connect this to your PC, by the way, with a cable, which I think is kind of defeats the whole purpose, because you can.
Yeah.
I mean, you can kind of just run an HDMI cable from your computer. But anyways, pretty much you stream through your home network your Steam onto the Steam Link, and it runs at 1080p, 60 frames per second, and it's going to be $49.99. There's not much more information necessarily announced on it. It's I mean, that's pretty much it. Like, there's not much information.
Right. I mean, there's only so much you can say about it. It's just kind of but I think it's a big step for Steam to bring PC gaming into the living room. And I think that's a huge deal.
Right. And definitely if you have a home computer, like a very powerful computer, I think it's going to be awesome. You know, someone like me, if there's like hardly any latency, I'm going to use it. Because I hate breaking out my HDMI cable. I'm very, like, on my PC and everything, I got my wires micromanaged out the wazoo. Like, my cable management looks nice. You don't see any cables. Everything's tucked under. Everything's tucked in.
Yeah. All your cables.
All my cables. It looks nice. It looks fantastic. And that's how I want it. And if that allows me to stream everything for $49.99, that's not a bad dive. Plus, you know, it funds Valve, and I throw money at them as much as I can.
Yeah.
But and then with that, they'll release the Steam controller, which you can pick that up, regardless. But which is that's a very big beast to tackle itself.
Yeah, I'm really interested to use that Steam controller because it's so weird, but I think it's gonna be great. I think Valve is one of those companies that doesn't release something until it's done, until they're happy with it. Half-Life 3, and until they think that it's the best that they can do with it. And so I'm really excited to see all of this stuff from Valve.
Exactly.
And I mean, if you can get this in your living room, which I assume. I can't find anything on it right now, but I assume that it's going to stream through Wi-Fi, right?
Yeah, I presume it will run under Wi-Fi, or you can set up network. I know you can do a wired
connection on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
well, either way, like if you can take and not have to bring your tower all the way into the living room or whatever for the price of a nice dinner, you know, it's
a real nice dinner.
It's a real nice dinner, to be honest. There's like a bit of prime rib, maybe a glass of the vino as well, but it's a pretty good deal at that point.
That's a full day of chuckle cheeses.
Chuckle cheeses. That's until they start sponsoring us, we can't give them a shout out. So
exactly.
That's what we have to call them.
We don't want to get sued.
Right.
It's chuckle cheese.
But yeah, I think that's a good deal, especially with 1080, 60 hertz. You can't get that anywhere in the living room right now, so I think that's a great deal. Shots fired there. You're supposed to say oh snap right there, Jesse.
Oh snap. Okay. I just really feel like if the latency is in check, if it's really low, if there's like hardly any or none, definitely going to jump on it. Like that's a no-brainer. But if there's latency, then I will just straight up still go with HDMI and get a little wireless keyboard and have that little underneath my couch.
Yeah. Hey, it works. It works that way. Or just your DS4 controller. Bluetooth in, whichever one.
because it's I got a mouse on it.
Yeah, the little pad. That's so useful. Well, hopefully the Steam controller will be
That's
even
true.
better for that.
Well, I'm pretty sure it would be,
especially
in
with
that
the
regard.
touchpads.
Plus, you're using your thumb, which is a hell of a lot more control than your fingers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially when you're gripping onto that sort of profile. So
yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've pretty much covered what we're gonna do in today's Let's Discuss. I hope you've enjoyed the first episode. And Jesse, do you have anything else to say or plug or anything like that?
No. I'll plug my Twitter in on the next one. I still got some stuff I gotta crunch and everything.
Get that worked out. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No plugging this time. I'm just gonna throw this out cold.
All right. Well, hopefully, like I said, hopefully you enjoyed the first edition of the Let's Discuss podcast. Hopefully we'll be doing. Yeah, I did too. It was a good time. Yeah. Hopefully we'll be putting a couple out a month anyway. Just whenever we feel like discussing
whatever we felt like,
whatever's on our brains at the time, or any big tech news that comes out or anything like that. But
definitely, or a game that we want to discuss. Or whatever.
Either way.
Yeah.
But I think that's it for us right now. Subscribe and do all that stuff to keep up with us and figure out what kind of things we're going to discuss next, or any other podcasts or that are in the future. So, all right, thanks for listening, guys. This has been Colby.
Hey, this is Jesse. You guys have a good day.
All right, have a good one.